All right, guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about how to engage your TVA or transverse abdominis. It's a big component of my setup, making sure my core is engaged. And we have the master here, here to explain why that's important and the benefits of that. All right, Andrew, so transverse abdominis.
Yes.
Okay, I quite simply refer to it as the core, kind of my lower core.
Yep.
Tell them about the transverse abdominis. It's a topic that you have kind of introduced to me. You hear it kind of floating around in different training circles, but it's something that I've basically used to sort of get myself to a neutral static posture.
Yep.
And then within that, within your training style, kind of understood how to keep it somewhat tensioned and move dynamically while maintaining that.
Yep.
Talk about the transverse abdominis, and I think it's important to clarify that it's a little bit different than bracing for a deadlift.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, so first I think understanding kind of where the transverse abdominis is important. So we obviously have a lot of core musculature. You've got the rectus abdominis, which is your abs. You've got the obliques, the internal, external obliques. And then on the lower core, you kind of have this belt of support, and that's your TVA.
Would you say that's between your belt buckle and kind of your belly button?
Yeah, maybe at the belly button, maybe a little bit above to almost kind of down to the pubic bone. So it's this kind of, it's a pretty big part of tissue, and it basically goes all the way across your stomach. And this tissue is really, really important for, like Josh said, achieving a good standing neutral posture, which is kind of your best expression of posture. And if you don't have a good standing neutral posture, it'll be more difficult to express athletic movement, like say a golf swing. So the TVA is this lower part of the core that's really integral to supporting this whole kind of corset of tissue in your torso. So the easiest way to think about engaging the TVA is basically a light drawing in maneuver at kind of your belly button and below. And what this does is it creates kind of a pre-tension that aids in what's known as intra-abdominal pressure. So the pressure inside of your torso that's basically helping you stand upright and fight against the compressive force of gravity.
So I think this is really important because I think like a lot of people are always instructed to stand taller, stick their chest out, but the reality to that is like you're fighting gravity, and eventually like it's just going to pull you down. From my experience of kind of understanding how to engage the TVA correctly is I almost feel like when you get it correct, it kind of holds you upright and automatically kind of stands you up. Along with that, by correctly engaging that, it then starts to kind of neutralize the pelvis. For me, I was always kind of stuck in an anterior tilt, so engaging that lower part of the core kind of helps neutralize the pelvis, which we'll talk about further is really important for setup and movement in the golf swing. But talk about that component. Talk about kind of what I was just alluding to, how everyone's kind of instructed to stand upright and why that doesn't work.
Yeah, so the idea to stand upright is a good idea, and the cue has the right intention. Now, where you're deriving that upright posture from matters a lot. If you have no TVA activation, so you're basically letting your stomach shift forward and you try and stand up tall, you're just going to create more compression in your lower back, and you might exacerbate a pelvic tilt that you already have. The TVA engagement through that light drawing in maneuver is going to allow you to connect the musculature of your lower body, of your posterior chain, your glutes, your hamstrings, your pelvic floor with your upper half, your torso and your upper body. So by drawing in, you gain more control over your hips and allow them to actually sit directly under your rib cage. So creating this alignment of having the hips directly under the rib cage is really, really important for creating what's known as a zone of apposition in postural restoration, but it's basically the zone that you can breathe into that actually creates that decompressive anti-gravity effect of the human structure.
Okay, so if you were going to teach the viewers at home, and we're going to continue to talk about why this is important, how to engage this, give them a few cues of how to do it. I know for myself, I kind of feel like you know, right between the belt buckle and the belly button. I'm kind of drawing that back.
Yep.
And then it's a slight tensioning, like, you know, kind of as if I was bracing to take a punch, but very light.
Yep.
It's not rigid. I can still keep this engaged and move. I can still keep this engaged and breathe into my chest, which is another important part of this. Any critiques to that? Any other kind of cues that you would give?
No, I think Josh has a good understanding of it now. What I would say is that TVA tension is not something that's just constant. So it's not like you're at just a constant 5 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. The amount of engagement that you require, which you can think of as just the amount that you're having to draw in, the force of drawing in, will vary depending on the task. If we're just standing here talking, though I'm not conscious of it anymore, probably 20 to 30% engagement here. If I was going and trying to swing a golf club as hard as I could, it's going to require a lot more tension.
Right. And that's actually one of the things I try to do, and I've implemented this into my teaching and my personal swing, is when I'm set up and I'm trying to get going, I'm trying to draw this in and tension that thing up pretty hard. And what that does for me is it basically connects my body, okay? So it connects your pelvis, your spine, your rib cage, to kind of function as one unit. Now that doesn't mean that you're not separating, okay? But for me, it allows me to kind of get general awareness of where my core is, and pretty much that's what I'm using as the median to power that back. If you don't have any tension through there, it's a lot harder to feel. I always use the analogy, it's like if your arm's just hanging in space, you really can't feel where your bicep is. But the second you contract it, yeah, you see these pipes, but the second you contract it, you have general better awareness of that. So quite simply put, engaging this helps get us to a neutral static posture. The foundation of how you train and how you teach training is based around how to engage this and then move dynamically while keeping this engaged. And then basically what we want to do, and I'll jump out of the shot here for a second and grab a club, is correlate to the golf swing. So when I set up, okay, as I kind of alluded to, I'm trying to feel like I'm pulling that lower part of my core back to engage that, okay? And this gives me a general awareness of kind of the right side of my core, where I like to kind of use that to throw the club head back. And so when I do that, you can kind of see that from the down the line view, if I engage this, it actually starts to tip my pelvis under me, okay? So I'm able to actually control the tilting of the pelvis. So a lot of times I see people come in here and they kind of set up, you know, with their butt sticking out or excessively with their butt under them. And one of the tough things about that is if you just tell them to tuck their pelvis back under them, there's really you really don't know when's enough. And even if you tuck it under you, it's like, all right, well, how do I get this to stay there? You kind of, it feels a little bit fabricated, is what I'm trying to say. So the cue of engaging that lower part of the core and making that, you know, habitual, basically allows the alignment of the pelvis to happen automatically. And that's so important, because if your pelvis is tilted downward, that basically restricts range of motion in your hip. You're not going to be able to turn as efficiently into the pelvis, therefore it's going to create a compensation somewhere else. So I think this is a really important topic, highly debatable in my opinion. I think there's a lot of different schools of thought around it. I think based off what I've learned and implemented, I've seen a lot of benefits to this. And overall, through the process of understanding this and training dynamically, I've seen multiple benefits, from feeling better to better movement, to also being able to swing the club faster. So, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. We do have new merch. If you haven't checked it out, go get yourself one of these Nike black shirts. You can check out Andrew at the _vital _pursuit on Instagram, or you can check out his website, which is, go ahead and...
It's vitalpursuit.co.co.
Okay, so, all right guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We got 2 more videos planned, and we'll see you soon.